All right, let's get ready. It's time to seriously level up that gym game of yours. Today, we're diving deep, specifically for you into English for all those fitness fanatics out there. Just imagine walking into like any gym, anywhere in the world, and just feeling so confident, asking for help, talking about your routine, maybe even motivating somebody with the perfect phrase. That's what we're going for.
Yeah, you got it. It's not just about the words. I mean, it really is about that smooth communication that makes the whole gym experience more fun and, more effective too. You think about it. Clear instructions when you're trying a new machine, maybe understanding what a trainer's telling you, even just bonding with other people at the gym over, goals you share. Language can really unlock all that.
Totally. And you're always traveling. Have you ever run into a situation where knowing some gym-specific English really helped you out?
Oh, for sure. One time I was in a hotel gym. It was in Seoul. And I really wanted to try this one cable machine. It looked really cool. But the instructions were all in Korean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I managed to use a translation app, but just for the basics. Then I ended up I started talking to this local guy, and he explained all the finer points, like how to adjust the weights and the cables. It totally changed my whole workout.
See, that's what I'm talking about, those unexpected connections made possible because you could communicate. So let's give our listener the tools to do the same thing. So we got to start with the fundamentals. Those words you'll hear all the time at the gym: workout, cardio, strength training. Those are pretty straightforward. But then there's reps and sets. What's the real difference? Why should our listener even care?
That's a great question. They're the building blocks of any good training plan. So think of reps as the individual movements, how many times you lift that weight or push that sled, whatever. Sets are groups of those reps. So 3 sets of 10 reps means you're doing 10 repetitions of an exercise. Then you rest, then you repeat that 10-rep set 2 more times. Knowing the difference is key because those numbers actually dictate what kind of results you'll see.
Okay, so there's more to it than just picking random numbers, huh? Tell me more about how sets and reps actually affect, what happens in our muscles.
So it all depends on what you're going for. You want to build serious muscle strength, think lower reps, heavier weights, maybe 5 sets of 5. If it's endurance and toning you're after, increase those reps, lighten the load, so 3 sets of 15, for example. It's crazy how tweaking those numbers changes the entire game.
This is already blowing my mind, and we're just getting started. It's like a secret code to unlocking your fitness potential, right?
You got it. Just like learning any language, the more you practice, the better you get. The gym, it becomes less intimidating. It's more like a playground for experimenting and, pushing your limits.
So our listener is now all pumped about sets and reps, feeling like a real fitness insider. But then they walk into this gym, maybe it's an international gym, and people are throwing around terms like HIIT and LIS. Is this some kind of advanced fitness slang?
They're actually really key concepts for understanding different types of cardio. You've probably heard cardio as the general term for anything that gets your heart rate up. But knowing the difference between HIIT and LIS can help you target your fitness goals even better.
Ooh, this is interesting. Give us the rundown on these acronyms. What makes them so special?
Okay, so HIIT, that stands for high intensity interval training. Think short bursts of all-out effort followed by short rest periods. It's really great for burning tons of calories and boosting your metabolism. And then there's LIS, which is low-intensity steady-state cardio. That's the longer, slower stuff, like jogging or swimming at a moderate pace. It's perfect for building endurance and burning fat.
I'm already picturing myself casually dropping those terms into conversation at the gym, just impressing everyone with my new fitness knowledge. But let's be real. Sometimes you just need to ask for help. Say I'm in a gym in, I don't know, Brazil, and I'm completely baffled by this crazy looking machine. How do I ask for help politely without resorting to frantic hand gestures?
That's where knowing a few key phrases can be a real lifesaver. Even something simple like, "Can you show me how to use this?" can go a long way. But what's even more important is knowing how to ask about proper form.
Okay, that makes sense. Safety first. But how do I make sure my message gets across clearly, especially if there's a language barrier? Should I be using specific phrases, or is it okay to point and mime in the universal language of fitness?
Well, pointing and miming can work. But you always want to be respectful of personal space. Plus, some gestures could be misinterpreted across cultures. It's always better to start with a polite phrase like, "Excuse me, could you demonstrate the correct form for this exercise?" It shows you're serious about doing things safely and effectively.
Yeah, that's a great tip. Be clear and respectful, especially when it comes to safety. But let's be honest, sometimes the gym can be intimidating, especially if you're still getting comfortable with all the English lingo. Any advice on how to overcome that, like, initial hurdle?
You're so right. It's totally normal to feel a little shy at first. But remember, everyone at the gym is there for the same reason, to improve themselves. Most people are incredibly friendly and supportive. In fact, a simple, "Hi, how's your workout going?" can be a great icebreaker.
Okay, that's a good starting point.
Sure.
But let's say I want to take it a step further and actually, like, strike up a conversation with someone about their routine, maybe learn a new exercise or just get some motivation. What kind of phrases could I use?
I love that you're thinking about connecting with other people. The gym can be a fantastic place to build, a community. You could try something like, "I've never tried that exercise before. Could you tell me a bit about it?" Or, "I'm really impressed with your form. Any tips?" People are usually happy to share what they know and their experiences.
You're making me want to hit the gym right now and put all these phrases into action. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We've covered a lot already. Essential vocabulary, different types of cardio, asking for help, even starting conversations. I'm feeling pretty confident already. Where do we go from here? What other, like, linguistic tools does our listener need in their gym bag?
You're doing great. We've definitely built a solid foundation, but there's still so much more we can cover. Next, let's look at some phrases that are specific to different types of training. Strength training, flexibility work, maybe even group fitness classes.
Ooh, group fitness. That's a whole other world of vocabulary and etiquette. I'm excited to unpack that with you. But for now, let's give our listener a moment to, absorb all this awesome information. We'll be back in a flash to take their gym English to the next level. Okay, we're back and ready to, like, really round out those gym lingo skills. Last time we talked about some of that fundamental vocabulary. We even, like, dipped our toes into the social side of the gym a little bit. But now, let's get specific. Let's say our listener is all about strength training. What phrases will they run into in, like, that world?
Well, strength training definitely has its own unique language. You'll hear people talking about compound movements versus isolation exercises, progressive overload, maybe even drop sets.
Oh,
It can sound intimidating, but it's all about breaking down those big movements into smaller chunks.
okay, break it down for us. What are some of those, like, key strength training phrases, and why should our listener care about knowing them?
So let's start with compound movements. Those are exercises that, they work multiple muscle groups at the same time, like squats, deadlifts, and bench presses. They're really efficient for building overall strength and muscle. Then you have isolation exercises. Those target specific muscles, like bicep curls or tricep extensions, and they're great for fine-tuning and sculpting.
So knowing the difference can help me plan a more effective workout, right?
Exactly. And that's where progressive overload comes in. It's basically the idea that to keep seeing progress, you have to gradually increase the challenge. Like maybe lifting heavier weights, doing more reps, or even decreasing your rest time between sets.
That makes sense. You got to keep those muscles guessing.
Yeah.
But how do I know when it's time to bump up that weight? Or, like, add another rep? What if I overdo it?
That is a great question. And that's where, listening to your body is key. You want to challenge yourself, but not to the point of pain or injury. A good rule of thumb is that your last couple of reps should feel tough, but still doable with good form.
So no ego lifting allowed. Safety and form always come first. But let's be honest, sometimes we see those, like, really ripped people at the gym. They're doing these crazy intense workouts, and you get a little, like, FOMO, fear of missing out. Is it okay to ask for tips or advice even if we're not at their level yet?
Totally. Most people who've been going to the gym for a while, they're happy to share what they know and encourage others. Just approach them respectfully and be mindful of their time. You could say something like, "Hey, I'm really impressed with your workout. Would you mind sharing any tips for someone who's still learning?"
I love that, just paying it forward with fitness wisdom. And who knows, maybe that quick chat turns into a new gym friendship. But speaking of learning, what about all that different equipment? Sometimes I walk into the weight room and feel like I'm in a totally different country. Are there any, like, essential phrases for navigating that equipment jungle?
There are definitely some key terms that are good to know. You'll see barbells, dumbbells, cable machines, racks, and platforms, just to name a few. Each piece of equipment has its own, purpose and a set of exercises that go with it. Knowing what they're called will help you ask for help or follow instructions more easily.
It's like having a map to the weight room. But what if I'm in a gym and the labels on the equipment are in a different language? Any strategies for figuring those out?
That's where you need to get a little resourceful. If you can get online, you can use an image translation app, quickly scan that label and get an idea of what the machine's called in English. Or you could always just politely ask a staff member or someone else at the gym for help. Most people are happy to, help bridge that language gap.
All right, so we've got our strength training lingo down. But let's not forget about flexibility and recovery. Any must-know phrases for that side of fitness.
Oh, for sure. Flexibility is so important for preventing injuries and staying mobile. You'll hear terms like stretching, yoga, Pilates, and foam rolling. Those are all different ways to improve your flexibility and range of motion.
I've definitely been guilty of skipping my stretches, But now that I know how to, talk the talk, maybe I'll be more motivated to actually walk the walk. But let's be real for a second. Sometimes that idea of holding a static stretch for 30 seconds, it's about as appealing as running a marathon. How do I express that in a way that doesn't make me sound like I'm a total wimp?
Well, there's no shame in admitting that stretching can be tough, especially if you're not used to it. You could say something like, I'm trying to get more flexible, but it's a work in progress. Or you could even be funny and say, my hamstrings are about as flexible as a steel rod right now.
Okay, that last one is definitely going in my gym vocabulary arsenal. But what if I want to be more specific about my flexibility goals? Let's say I finally want to be able to touch my toes. How do I talk about that goal without, bragging or setting myself up to fail?
That's a great goal. There's no need to be shy about it. You could just say, I'm working on touching my toes. It's a challenge for me. Or you could ask for advice, like, do you have any tips for improving hamstring flexibility? People are usually inspired by other people's goals and happy to help.
This is all gold. I'm already feeling more confident and ready to, navigate the world of fitness, both physically and, linguistically.
Yeah.
But before we wrap up, there's one area we haven't talked about yet. Group fitness classes. They can feel like a whole other level of intensity, right? Both in terms of the workout and the language that's used. What are some essential phrases our listener needs to, survive and maybe even thrive in that environment?
Group fitness classes are definitely their own thing, but don't let that intimidate you. They're a fantastic way to mix up your routine, try new stuff, and even meet people who have the same interests. And the good news is that the language is usually pretty repetitive, and it's focused on motivation and encouragement.
Okay, that makes me feel a little better. But I'm still picturing myself walking into a Zumba class, totally lost in all those dance moves, while the instructor's shouting out instructions in rapid fire English. How do I avoid feeling completely lost?
First, remember that everybody was new to Zumba at some point. Don't be afraid to smile, have fun, and follow along as best as you can. Most instructors are really good at showing the moves and giving modifications for different levels. And if you are feeling lost, don't hesitate to ask someone next to you for help. There's a real sense of camaraderie in those classes. Everyone's there to, support each other and encourage each other.
Yeah, I love that sense of community. It's like a fitness party where everybody's invited. But what about specific phrases that might come up in a class? Any universal cues or instructions I should be ready for?
You'll probably hear a lot of pulse, isolate, engage your core, and feel the burn. Those are all common cues to help you focus on specific moves and muscles. And then, of course, there's the ever-present, you got this, and keep pushing to, keep you going.
It's like a whole new world of encouragement and empowerment. I'm already feeling pumped just thinking about it. But what if I need to take a break during the class? Is there a polite way to do that without disrupting everything or feeling like I'm letting the team down?
Absolutely. Your health and well-being are always the most important. If you need a break, just step to the side of the room, take a few deep breaths, and rejoin the class when you're ready. Most instructors totally understand that everybody has different limits, different needs. You don't have to explain or apologize.
Phew, that's a relief. No guilt trips in fitness land. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground today. Strength training lingo, flexibility phrases, even group fitness survival tips. I'm feeling pretty equipped to handle any gym scenario, no matter where I end up. So what's next on our linguistic workout plan?
You are on a roll. We've definitely covered a lot, but there are still some finer points we can look at. Next time, let's talk about some common mistakes people make with gym English and how to avoid those. We'll also talk about ways to practice and really make this new vocabulary stick so you can sound like a pro in any gym.
Okay, sign me up for that advanced gym lingo workout. But for now, let's give our listener a minute to process all this awesome info. We'll be back soon to polish up those English skills and send them off to conquer the gym with confidence. Okay, time for the final set of our gym English workout. We've given you so much vocabulary, phrases, even some cultural insights. But just like with any language, there can be some tricky parts.
Yeah.
What are some common mistakes that you see people making when they're trying to use their English at the gym?
One that comes to mind is like using too much jargon. You might think you sound really knowledgeable if you're throwing around terms like supersets or, plyometrics, but if the person you're talking to has no idea what those mean, it just gets confusing.
Right.
Remember, clarity is so important, especially in the gym where safety is like the top priority.
So it's about finding that balance between like sounding informed, but also making sure people understand you, not just trying to use all the fancy fitness words, right?
Right.
What are some other like traps to watch out for?
Another one is being too critical, especially when you're giving feedback. Even if you have good intentions, saying things like, "You're doing that all wrong," can be so discouraging. The gym should be a positive place. So focusing on like encouragement and constructive feedback is key. Instead of you're lifting with your back, try something like, "Hey, have you tried engaging your core a bit more during that lift?" It's subtle, but makes a huge difference in how it comes across.
It's all about creating that supportive environment, right? Like lifting each other up, literally and figuratively.
Huh.
But let's say I'm having trouble explaining something, even when I'm using the right words. What's the best way to get my point across without, like, resorting to doing a whole mime routine?
Don't forget about visuals. Sometimes a quick demonstration or even just pointing to like a diagram on your phone can be way more effective than words. Remember that time I was talking about in that gym in Seoul? Well, after we, worked through that language barrier with the cable machine, that guy actually showed me a few different variations of the exercise. He just like demonstrated them. It was so much clearer and helpful.
Okay, so don't be afraid to use that universal language of movement. But all this talk about communication makes me think about the social aspect of the gym. Is there a certain, like, etiquette we should be aware of, especially in a more international setting?
For sure. Being mindful of cultural norms is really important. For example, in some cultures, staring is considered rude. So, avoid making eye contact for too long with people while they're working out. Also, be aware of personal space. Don't crowd people's equipment, especially when the gym's busy. A little bit of courtesy can go a long way.
So common sense and good manners are still important, even when you're working up a sweat. But let's get back to our listener. They've learned all this amazing information. What's the best way to put it all into practice and, like, really make those gym English skills stick?
Immersion is key. Listen to podcasts or watch YouTube videos about fitness in English. Maybe even try following a workout routine that's written in English. The more you surround yourself with the language in the right context, the more it will just become natural.
And if you're feeling brave, strike up a conversation with someone at the gym. Even something simple like, "Hi, how's your workout going?" can be a good start. Who knows, you might even make a new friend.
Exactly. And remember, it's all about progress, not perfection. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's how we all learn. The important thing is to have fun, stay motivated, and enjoy that fitness journey.
Well said. Now, before we send you off to conquer the gym with all your new English skills, let's leave you with one final thought. Imagine yourself in a gym, anywhere in the world, feeling totally confident and empowered to communicate. What fitness goal would you go for now that language is no longer a barrier? Would you try that new, challenging class? Finally ask for a spotter on that heavy lift? Or maybe just connect with someone new because you both love fitness?
The world is your gym. And with the power of language, the possibilities are endless.
And that's a wrap on our deep dive into English for gym enthusiasts. We hope you've gained the knowledge and the confidence, maybe even some inspiration, to really level up your fitness game. Now get out there and crush those goals one rep at a time.